Hey everyone, it's Suey here, and we're getting to that time of year where it's time to start doing year-end recap lists or favorite lists or best of lists or whatever. And I thought it would be fun to do a video where I recapped all the author events I went to this past year. And it was kind of an amazing year for author events for me. So I really wanted to recap them all. Most of them I think I've put up on the channel either like in a little short or as a part of a vlog or something like that. And I'm guessing most of you probably missed all that. And so I'm hoping that if you're interested in my author event experiences, then you'll catch them all in this one video altogether. In January, Tori and I went to an event called Authors in the Dungeon, and it's a brand new local event where they combined the idea of Dungeons and Dragons with fantasy authors, and they molded it all together. So it was a very nerdy event, which was really awesome and fun and cool. There was lots of authors there, but their highlighted keynote author person was Christopher Paolini, who I always find really interesting when he talks about his author journey. I still think of him as a kid, but he is now a dad. He was famous because of Aragon, writing Aragon when he was like, what, 20 years old or something, or younger, 16? How old was he? Like 16? I don't know. It might have taken a while for it to get published, but like he was so young and he just kind of became big because of that one book, and now he's pretty beloved. And I started reading his To Sleep in a Sea of Stars book. Maybe I'll have some B-roll of all the books I got because I forgot to bring them as part of this taping here. So anyway, I got my little huge paperback copy To Sleep in the Sea of Stars signed because all of our Aragon books were already signed. We've seen him before. So anyway, that was the first one, and he's just really delightful person. All right, then in April, we saw Lauren Graham. She is the star of Gilmore Girls, if you do not know her, and also she was very popular in Parent Trap and also lots of other shows, but mostly she is known as Lorelai Gilmore in the Gilmore Girls, and it was like sort of an out-of-body experience to see her in person. This event was a paid event. Most events you pay, but you get the book. So you're paying for the book and then you go. And so it doesn't feel like a paid event, but you have to buy the book basically as your ticket in. This one was a paid thing. It was like a concert experience almost. We had to pay, I don't know how much we paid, like $50 to go. And then if we wanted the book, we bought it there. So on top of all that. And she wasn't doing a signing, but she did sign some books ahead of time. And so I did end up with a signed copy, like we got the last one. So that was kind of lucky. So anyway, she was amazing to see and so much fun. And she is exactly like Lorelai Gilmore. Like the two, her real self and her character in that show, I think are one person, seriously. It was awesome to see her. And then a little bit later on in April, we saw Lois Lowry. That was at a library hosted by one of our independent bookstores. And it was promoting her middle grade book called Tree Table Book. And this book was really touching and heartwarming and beautiful. And she is just like 90 years old almost, and just still feisty and has so many awesome stories, and she's lived through so much, and I just love hearing her talk and telling her whole journey. So that was enjoyable. Then in May, I went to a writers' conference, and the keynote speaker there was Katherine Patterson, and she also, like Lois Lowry, is, in her 80s or even 90. I don't think she's quite 90. I don't know how old she is. An incredible writing journey and gone through so much, and writes amazing kids books. So we got our Bridge to Terabithia copy signed and met her there, and she's just delightful also. So much fun to see these like iconic authors and hear their stories, you know what I mean? In June, we went to Ali Condie's book launch for her first adult book called The Unwedding. And that was at the local library, and Jamile Mendez, I hope I said that right. I always get it wrong. She was also there, and so they did a little chit chat to launch The Unwedding. And it was really exciting because she had just been notified that she was picked for the Reese Witherspoon thing, and she was so excited, and it was really fun to be part of all of that. Then in September, I had 2 pretty big author signings in the same week. Leane Moriarty, and Condie was also at that one doing the interview. So we talked to Allie again that day. It was fun. And Leane Moriarty was promoting her new book called Here One Moment. And she was amazing. Got that one signed at the end. The thing that blew our minds mostly is that she writes these books with these really awesome twists and turns, and she says she doesn't know what's going to happen when she's writing. She's a pantser, a discovery writer. She figures it out as she goes, and then she goes back and adds all the little clues afterwards. We also learned how to say her name. Then a couple days later, we saw TJ Klune, and he was promoting this new book, Somewhere Beyond the Sea, and that was quite the experience. I didn't get these signed, did we? I did. They are signed copies, just not personalized. We didn't get to meet him. They were pre-signed, so we just got our books. I got both books, even though I'd already read this one. I didn't necessarily need it. And that was an interesting experience, but it was sort of a rally, which was awesome, but also very strange at the same time because we weren't expecting that. And we were sitting there going, oh, are we okay being here? But it was lovely and a very rah-rah and positive and kind of an amazing. TJ Klune was a little angry, and he was a little, shall we say, over the edge on hating some stuff, which I guess is fine. We did kind of see him in this new light, and I was like, whoa, he has some agenda. Yes, he has some agenda. It was just an interesting, very different author event than I've ever been to, but I'm really glad I went. Then in October, Shannon Hale came to the library I work at as the kickoff to the month-long read thing that we do as a city, and she was talking about book banning, and it was an amazing presentation, and I loved the stuff she had to say, and I do have that on the channel somewhere if you want to see more particularly some clips of what she had to say. I always say that there are more people around that are against book banning than there are for it, and that was apparent. That presentation, everybody was very supportive of her message. Then we got to go to see Percival Everett later on in October, and that was at the university in a kind of a more posh book event where the English professors were interviewing him, and the audience was a little older and a little more erudite. Is that a word? Really, really crazy comparing like the difference between some of these events, the difference in who's attending them. He talked about James and some of his other books, and he was amazing. I didn't realize that was happening. It was sort of oh, by the way, yeah, let's go. And then I was like, oh, I almost missed that. Oh, James is right here. So we did get to meet him and talk to him and say thank you for coming. And he was like, my pleasure. I gotta pay more attention to who's coming because sometimes you just don't want to miss somebody. Speaking of, there are tons of author events that happened and author signings that happened that I didn't go to this year. There's tons of them. The bookstores are constantly doing them, so we had to pick and choose. And then my most recent one, just last week, was Mary E. Pearson, which another tiny little independent bookstore hosted, and I have loved this author for years, and so it was so cool that she came. The launch of her first adult book, this romantasy called The Courting of Bristol Keats, and talked to her, told her how much I love her stuff, and got it signed also. And that is the list of author events of this year. I don't know how many there are, like 10. There's probably about 10 or 11 or so. And it's been an amazing year for that. And I cannot wait to see who comes next year. And I am all ready to go again for another round of amazing events and signings and launches and all the things. I just want to go to all of the things. Let me know if you met any amazing, awesome authors this year, and tell me what books you got signed and how it all went. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.